the Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra. Let's give it a review. Biff, pow, zap, clunk, clunk, ouchie. Hey guys. Yes, you heard correctly. This is the Mars 5 Ultra. It's incredible to think that we're on the 5th generation of Mars printer. And for those keeping track, that's pretty much one per year. And many have felt that the differences between these generational models were small, and I'd have to agree to a certain extent. However, the Mars 5 Ultra is a different beast. It's definitely the most innovative printer from the Mars range that we've seen so far. But let me be clear, here we'll be discussing the 5 Ultra and not the Mars 5. In previous incarnations, the difference between the standard model and the Ultra was so slight, many felt spending the extra was pointless. But with the 5, there are big differences, so be careful when watching reviews and be careful when placing orders. Be sure you're selecting your model correctly. And just to digress, as I've already started talking about it, this all seems a little strange to me. If we compare the standard Mars 4 and 5, it almost looks as though Elegoo have taken a step backwards. There's a reduction in overall print volume, but most notably, there's a significant decrease in XY resolution, falling from the jaw-dropping 18 microns we see on the Mars 4, achieved with a 9K screen, to just 35 microns on the Mars 5, using a 4K screen. Did you hear what I said there? A 4K screen? We first saw that on the Mars 3, so why the step backwards? Price is an obvious factor, as the Mars 5 is set to be roughly $100 less than the Mars 5 Ultra and a smidgen less than the Mars 4. But then, why bother with the Mars 5 when on paper the 4 is a better printer? I don't know, I really don't, but I'm here to talk about the Mars 5 Ultra, and that at least does have exactly the same 9K screen and 18 micron resolution as the ordinary Mars 4. However, I promised you an innovative Mars, and so let's get on with it. Its appearance and components are similar to the Saturn 4 Ultra. The build plate looks like a 2-tier system, and it's laser engraved for very good print adhesion. There's no knob for me to make crude jokes about. Instead, it clicks firmly onto the Z-arm with the aid of this small lever, and this is very secure. The metal resin tray has taller sides for a reason that will become obvious, and it has a clear FEP. It still attaches with removable bolts in the usual manner. The Z-arm is sturdy, and there's a single rail. The PowerPoint, switch, USB port and Wi-Fi antenna all live together towards the back of the right hand side. The removable lid is squarer than we've seen before, and this actually increases the room on the inside of the enclosure. There's no USB ports for air filters, as it seems Elegoo are no longer providing these, meaning that you'll either have to buy them separately or make use of the provided vent panel to connect the MarsMate filtration system or something similar. Or of course, live with the resin smells and simply open a window. But the extra space does make room for an AI camera. Many folks seem to enjoy making movies of their prints, and I'm happy to accept the feature, especially as it allows for more impressive features such as real-time monitoring. However, thanks to being AI powered, the camera apparently watches out for print adhesion issues and also warp detection. Though whether this works or not, I can't say, as I've had neither. And it's also my understanding that the plate needs to have risen at least 50mm for any of this to work, because the camera can't see otherwise. The drawback with a camera, however, is that it works exclusively at the moment, I believe, with CHITU box slicer. Don't panic if you favour other slicers. I know the Saturn 4 Ultra works the same way, and our buddies over at Lychee have had no issues adding it to their system, so I'm sure other slicers will work on the 5 Ultra as well. When I reviewed the Saturn 4 Ultra, I couldn't connect the camera at all, But with this funkier version of CHITU Box Basic, it was simplicity itself. And props to CHITU Box, as this really is a nice looking and easy to use bit of software. CHITU Manager is built in and the bit that we need. It's simply a matter of clicking on this and using the software to find the printer which is on my Wi-Fi network. With this, I am able to see what the camera sees. Here's my little workshop. I can slice via my home network very easily. I'll add a file, slice it. Now I'll save via the network. I choose a printer in case I have several. Send the slices. It uploads, and after a few seconds I click print. And this all works great. Minimizing is a bit messy with my Windows 11 PC, but I can close and reopen the app, and of course I can live view the print, though I'm obviously restricted to live viewing from my PC only, as I don't believe there's a phone app that we can currently use. Obviously CHITU Box Basic is not exclusive to the Mars 5 Ultra, and these features will work on any suitably compatible printer. CHITU Box have taken the altruistic approach to leave their motherboard as open source software. Whether Lychee and other slicing companies are able to offer these live monitoring services, only time will tell. The menu screen is now a portrait aspect. Whilst I like the appearance, which is certainly helped by an attractive and easy to use user interface, to me it does feel small. Whilst I was trying to type in my Wi-Fi username and password, there was no way my fingers could ever tap these keys, and I was forced to use a stylus. It's worth noting, during boot up, the printer displays a self-diagnostic routine, which actually does seem to work, and is not just window dressing as I've suspected in the past. You may notice that the screen is clearly monitoring the temperature, but there's no heater provided, though one can be purchased separately. Fortunately, the square lid also means I can squeeze in the CHITU system's heater with relative ease. Actually, the temperature being monitored is an internal safety feature, and when the LED temperature exceeds 80 degrees Celsius, the intelligent system halts the printing automatically. The user interface also includes a wonderful feature first seen on the Saturn IV Ultra, and that's a built-in sectional exposure tool. This is an excellent idea, and I'd love to see it on every printer. It enables the user to print repeats of the same model at different exposures, allowing you to dial in your resin choices more conveniently. The UI also has a fast and slow print speed option. Now I'm going to come clean here. I played with this on the Saturn IV Ultra and I couldn't really see any differences worth mentioning, so for this review I've ignored it. All my prints are conducted on a fast speed setting, and in honesty I didn't find them especially fast, so as usual ignore any marketing claims about speed. As mentioned, the screen is still the same 9K version that we saw on the Mars 4, but don't think little of that. It still produces an amazing 18 microns of XY resolution, which I believe is more than any other brand of printer at this end of the market. What is most innovative about this printer, however, is this, a tilt mechanism. Rather than pull the print from the FEP at 90 degrees, the plate remains stationary and the vat tilts, peeling the print from the FEP and reducing suction forces. Quite how long this highly mechanical movement will last before wear and tear leads to printing errors, only time will tell. But hopefully it's something that Elegoo have already thought long and hard about. Another very clever inclusion is a force-sensitive chip embedded in the Z arm. Together with the unusual plate design, the Mars 5 Ultra is completely self-leveling, and this really does work. It certainly makes life much easier for newcomers to the hobby. Before moving on to printing, I should mention that Elegoo also provide this slop tray. It's flimsy and weak, but its job is to catch drips during the plate release. When it came to printing, I decided to use this Creality high precision grey resin, which has impressed me previously. These are the settings that I used, and ironically they're the exact same settings suggested by the CHITU box profile. Starting with the Metalabs 10 test print, it's certainly a nice print. Yes, there is dust and voxel lines, but these prints are extremely magnified to show every flaw. In the hand, these prints are beautifully crisp and clean. CHITU Box Basic is handling anti-aliasing in a different way, and I guess this will take me some time to get used to. These prints use no AA, but instead use image blur, which in the past I've preferred. Here though, these settings aren't softening the voxel lines as much as I'd normally expect to see, but I do think this is more about me getting used to the settings than anything else. But all in all, it prints very well. So what do I think of the Elegoo Mars 5 Ultra? Well, there's not really anything to dislike. To my knowledge, this is the best monoscreen Elegoo could fit into a standard resin printer. The boxy lid makes it easier to fit air filters or heaters, depending on your preference. The portrait aspect of the menu screen is clear with a friendly UI, though a stylus is a must on occasions. The inclusion of a sectional exposure print tool is great to see. The self-leveling build plate is a complete success. The inclusion of a camera will appeal to many. And the tilting VAT mechanism is certainly an interesting feature, which no doubt reduces suction forces that should lead to less print failures. Unfortunately, thanks to using CHITU Box's new anti-aliasing features, I'm seeing more voxel lines on the prints than I would normally expect to. But given these weren't present with my tests on the Saturn IV Ultra, I'm happy enough to conclude that this is just me getting used to a new version of CHITU Box. Plus, it has to be said, these prints look great in the hand. At a cost of $293 at the time of recording, I think this is reasonably priced for what it is. So, as I say, it's difficult to find anything to dislike. The Mars has always been a popular printer, and I see no reason why this incarnation shouldn't be equally successful. It's certainly good to see Elegoo trying so many new things with this model. I can only imagine it will be a success, and a well-deserved one at that. And that's it for this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care, and thanks for watching.